Welcome everyone. It seems that we are live on another week of the Ubuntu community team Q&A. As a tradition in these live Q&As, those of you who are following us on IRC, if you could confirm that you can see us and you can hear us, that'd be great. If not, let's just start with the introductions as every week. I'm David Planella from the Ubuntu community team at Canonical, and today I'm joined by very special guests. We've got David Kalle, also from the community team at Canonical. We've got Michael Hall, also from the community team at Canonical, and we've got Victor Mayoral from the Erle Robotics team, who are going to show us a really cool demo of the Spider that you can see in the background as well. That's the Ubuntu-powered drone that Victor and his team have created. Victor is the CTO from Erle Robotics, and he'll be showing us the Spider in action, and he'll be answering all of the questions that you might have about the Spider itself, about Erle, about the usage of Snappy Ubuntu for the drone. I think without further ado, we can probably give the stage to Victor. We generally do some announcements here, but I think we can move them to the end. Just as a reminder, if you've got any questions on IRC, remember to prefix them with the word question. You can spot them, and then essentially go through them in sequence. Seems like the Spider is doing some mischief that they're in the background. So as I said, I think without further ado, Victor, perhaps you can tell us a bit what Erle is doing in general, and in particular with the Spider and the IndieGoGo campaign you're running.
Sure, thanks, David, and hi everyone. It's a pleasure being here. So, as introduced, we are a startup called Erle Robotics. That we are based in the north of Spain, in the Basque Country, and what we focus on is basically on making these artificial brains for making robots and drones in an easy way. So we started this journey about 2 years ago. We come from, our team comes from different backgrounds. We are electrical engineers, computer scientists, mechanical engineers, and we put all this background together to start building robots. What we realized was that even with the existing tools, it was quite a challenging task for many labs worldwide, and even for ourselves, although we had worked previously in robotics for a few years. So we started putting together what we called our first artificial brain. We called it Erle Brain. It was pretty much a Linux-based computer. You can see here Erle Brain 2, which is something that is right now announced in our crowdfunding campaign. And it's pretty much a Raspberry Pi device or a Linux embedded board that has on top a shield that includes sensors and power electronics to be able to power different kinds of actuators. So building on top of those principles and making it as simple as possible, we started creating different robots. Now, when we looked at how we wanted to start creating these artificial brains, we wanted to start selecting an operating system and a set of instructions that allowed us to pretty much help people really put their creativity into real applications and build these fantastic robots. So we had a look around. We checked several file systems, and then we found at the very early stages of Snappy, this fantastic concept that we've been trying to push with everything we've got here. That includes this concept of the App Store, this cloud-based marketplace where developers can actually make money of their algorithms or just share new concepts. So we really envision this reality where a computer vision algorithm installed in a robot in Japan can actually be easily and identically installed in a robot right here on Spain just with a single click. This is a concept we really love, and this is something that the robotics community hasn't had yet, and something that will be demanded in the following few years. So we just started working into this concept. We released, as I said, in January of 2015, our first artificial brain based on Snappy, Erle Brain, and then just about a month and a half ago, we released Erle Brain 2, which, as I said, is based on the Raspberry Pi 2. So far we are super excited. You can build tons of robots. We built copters, flying things. We built ground-based rovers. And what you've got right there is what we call a drone with legs, basically a spider, an hexapod, that pretty much has 18 degrees of freedom. It's again powered by Erle brain device, based on Linux, based on Snappy, having access to the App Store, and pretty much showing the possibilities of what this new Snappy Ubuntu core can enable. So pretty much we try to spread the word about the importance of Snappy, the importance of our artificial brains, and the chances that all those roboticists out there have nowadays with these low-cost platforms. We decided to launch a crowdfunding campaign, pretty much with the name of Erle-Spider, that is now live on IndieGoGo and trying to reach $50,000 that hopefully will help us deliver Erle-Spiders to many homes, many research institutions, schools, etc. And we've put special effort into trying to make it as affordable as possible. So I see that right now, the spiders, the hexapods, will be delivered this Christmas based on Linux, so running natively Linux, based totally on Snappy with the latest things that this fantastic team from Canonical actually pushes so much, and also building on top of well-known frameworks of robotics. I'm speaking about things such as the Robot Operating System, ROS, or other frameworks for making drones, such as APM, Multi-Platform Autopilot, which we also contribute on actively. So this is pretty much Erle-Spider in a nutshell, and Erle Robotics.
Excellent. And for those of you who are joining us on IRC, we've just posted the link to the IndieGoGo campaign, where if you're interested to making this happen, you should definitely check the story and make a donation. We think it's a really cool project. It marries really innovative ideas and technologies and organizations, and this is something that we'd very much like to see. Victor, I think you also have something ready for us in terms of a demo with ways of controlling the spider, which perhaps people on IRC can try as well, and the viewers.
Definitely. So one thing we wanted to demonstrate with this actually computers that have the ability to walk around was to pretty much create Snap, so an application that did live stream and allowed people to control the spider from anywhere around the world. So what you can see over there is actually our spider that is right now live streaming HD video to YouTube, which you can find in our channel over here. So I'm just posting it. And at the same time, we've created a small little game, again, as a Snap, that helps people interact with the robot through a simple tweet. So again, here's the link of this little game we've created. And just by basically tweeting the appropriate instructions, you'll see how Erle-Spider actually moves around. So while at the same time you can see the live feed, we've placed on the live video just a ball, and I think there's something on top of the ball. You can see people generally gets kind of like trying to kick that thing. But in any case, this is just a simple example what people can do with just a few lines of code, because actually we're using a simple bash shell, so just a few lines for the live streaming. And then for the Twitter, it's just a simple Python script that is basically capturing real-time tweets. I think it's going to hit it. Real-time tweets, and it pretty much filters specific words we're targeting here. So I'm happy going through the code afterwards if anyone is interested. But the importance here is how by delivering a Linux-based robot, so pretty much Ubuntu device that can be developed or where you can develop using the same tools you use in your desktop. It's something we've discovered people gets really amazed and really enthusiastic about. So we really like this concept and this vision of being able to put your algorithms out there, just give them legs and make them walk. That's pretty much the concept we want to spread around. And over the last days, we've seen how thousands and tens of people, I mean thousands of people watching what we are doing and tens of people just interacting with it like every hour. We've got people from China, from Korea, from a lot of people from Russia as well. If there's anyone out there watching us right now, that really gets inspired with this. So our aim here is to actually get people engaged with this, get people aware of the importance and the potential of Snappy, and support our campaign, support our technology, and jump into robotics by creating different robots based on Erle Brain and taking Erle-Spider as an inspiration.
So you mentioned that the Erle Brain has connectors to control actuators. Does that provide enough voltage that you just kind of plug them in and it works, or is there a little more setup to get a drone working?
So, well, it depends of which actuator we are speaking about. So, so if you can see right over here, we've got sort of like 12 plus pins exposed, which pretty much allow you to control actuators over a PWM signal that we've already abstracted. Okay, so with simple interfaces, you can tell which kind of PWM signal you want, what's the width, what's the duty cycle, etc. So answering your question, the voltage provided by these pins is restricted, as well as the current. But that's generally enough for simple actuators. Now, if you were to control a drone such as the ones we make that flies around, so a Linux-based, for example, copter, you'll probably need to use external devices. Generally, they're called electronic speed controllers, and these devices you need to power them separately. So it all depends, honestly, on the actuator you actually want to power. For simple stuff such as LEDs or really simple actuators that don't require much current, you'll use directly these interfaces we provide. But for much more current-hungry actuators, such as big motors or motors you could use, the process motors in copters, then you'll need to use external powering systems.
Okay.
Cool. All right. It seems like we got some questions on IRC. We might want to start also as a challenge for anyone watching us. If you can make the spider go back to screen and find the right commands, that'd be good as well.
Someone has to move it around. Just give me a second.
Oh, that's fine. I was just thinking of some of our audience could manage to bring it back.
So, well, just in case, I'm just gonna put it close right now and show it to the public. So this is pretty much Erle-Spider. I think it's worth saying it. So what you can see right here is actually this brain that I've just shown before. It is just a modified version that has a camera on board. Right. This is something that we will offer. It's not commercially available right now. It's only available through the crowdfunding campaign right now. And what you can see is that it has a set of dongles. So we are using concurrently 3 dongles, so a Bluetooth dongle, so that we can control it if it just goes out of bounds, which tends to be often with people just asking it to go to places here in our office. And then we've got 2 Wi-Fi dongles. So one creates its own hotspot, so that we can actually just SSH directly. Yeah, right now, someone is just moving it, so that we can SSH directly into the Ubuntu file system. This is handy for debugging or just for developing stuff. And then we've got another dongle that right now is connected to our Wi-Fi network here in the office, which is the pretty much the link that we use to send the video to the rest of the world. So as you can see, it's not that small. Actually, we wanted to create a robot, not a toy. So that was one of our initial concepts, and we really see that these devices could be literally used to inspect sites, so places, environments that that pretty much are not easily inspected by humans. So we're speaking about pipes or underground, sorry, Stuff such as that. And we're actually working together with some companies to try to deliver this solution as a snap. So I can actually show a bit right here. So what you can see right here is a 2D lidar that right now is connected on top of another spider, and this lidar is just creating a 180 degree plane of measurements that is being updated 30 times per second. And that helps us create a map and autonomously ask the spider to tell us what is seen. So we can construct maps, we can inspect new areas, avoid obstacles. So it gets really, really interesting in some, as I said, environments which we can't easily inspect by ourselves. And this is just a simple example with a simple sensor. So there. So that's pretty much the spider from a close look, let's say.
That's just amazing. That's really, really cool.
So one thing we can also maybe show quickly is so one person in our team has this fantastic ideas. Why don't we just place an actuator like on top that just looks like a gripper, and we can sort of like grab stuff. So what you see over here is just some sort of like I don't know how to say this in English, but gripper, I guess. And it's being built out of pretty much 3D printed pieces, and it's using just 3 servo motors. So in a really, really easy way, we've been able to extend this spider to grab stuff. So it's all around our offices, just grabbing stuff. So we've got it grabbing like Coca-Cola things, and so it's actually pretty amazing how people come up with great ideas. In this example, it was someone in our team that we've heard like really, really amazing stuff over the last weeks from actually customers, people that supported the spider. So we're really excited about what people can actually do with the spider.
You know, with that gripper on the front, that thing actually looks a little bit scary.
Yeah, we get that sometimes. Yeah, so there's definitely room for making it more friendly. But
I kind of like it like that. You know, Halloween's coming up. You can set some of those out to just chase people around.
Yeah, and you don't want your children to play with it while you can play with it.
Yeah, what we've tried to put some time into is to make it secure. So right now, the spider is made out of aluminum plates, and these plates, just as they come from the manufacturing place, are sometimes kind of like spiky. So we've placed specifically on the tops and also on these corners. We've also got some 3D printed, let's say, pieces that are made out of elastic plastic that pretty much avoid people to just harm themselves with it. So this is some of the fine tuning we are right now creating, so that the experience of users out there is even greater. So what else I can share with you? Well, so there's actually quite a lot of people texting us and writing messages with really amazing ideas about snaps that they want to create, and this really excites us because this means that there's a community out there of developers that actually want to explore this robotics world through Ubuntu drone or Ubuntu Spider in this case, and this really encourages us to try to keep creating new brains, new robots, and try to keep delivering these platforms that will help those developers create new use cases or create new applications and deliver to the rest of the world via snappy. So one thing that is curious is actually that we got into Ubuntu quite a few years ago as first-year college students at the time, and I would have loved to be able to find such a device. So pretty much something that just helped me learn about Ubuntu and didn't get me a lot of time to jump from my desktop to my robot. This is something that the robotics community has been demanding for quite a while, and right here at Erle, we are quite satisfied with the solution we are achieving right now with with Erle-Spider, especially knowing how Snappy is shaping and how promising its future is.
This is just brilliant. I don't have anything else to add.
We've got some questions, but first I want to ask, how long are you going to let the Twitter controls run?
So we generally have it walking around for our office hours. So the battery lasts approximately about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how much you interact with it. So that means that we have to change it every 2 hours, 2 hours and a half or so, because it's not all the time being used while being on with the Twitter little game. So we generally change it like 5-6 times per day, I think so. So you can have it for most of the office hours on CEST time. So that's pretty much. You can play with it. We'll be having it for the following, at least until the campaign finishes. So this is pretty much what we wanted to provide. And also, it's a great way to walk around our offices and pretty much see what people is doing here. So we pretty much do everything from PCB designs to the kernel hacking, going through the file system fine-tuning, and reaching to the top of developing snaps such as the Twitter little game you can see over here that just sort of like provides an idea of what can be developed with it.
Looks like someone's going to go check out what's on your bookshelf over there.
Well.
All right. Let's go back. Our first question was from Lazaranus, and he asked, how many legs does the spider have?
So a spider has 8 legs. We are quite aware of that, but our spider has 6. And this is quite a funny joke that got into our team at the very early stage. So initially our concept had 8 legs. And obviously it was a spider. But then, due to pricing matters and trying to reach our goal, which was making Erle-Spider as affordable as possible, we decided to change the dynamical model and pretty much make it 6-leg robot. So the reasoning behind this is actually because right now each leg has 3 servo motors, which means that having 6 legs has 18 servo motors. And the servo motor is actually one of the most expensive parts within the robot. So that means that if right now we're offering it for something below $400, just by adding 2 more legs, the price will increase substantially. So we really wanted to provide something usable and something affordable. So it was, it didn't really make a lot of sense for us to maintain those 2 legs just because of the fact of being an actual physical spider. But still, even though we removed those 2 legs, we just didn't want to get rid of the spider naming. And calling it Hexapod sounded like not that fancy, so we just preserved it. So that's a whole story, actually. But we are aware spider has 8 legs.
I think that's a good explanation, and I certainly like the name Spider a lot better.
And I guess power consumption has played a role in that decision as well. I'm guessing that servo motors also take a toll in the power consumption. All right. So the next question is again from Lazaranus. Why Snappy on the Spider? When did you guys found out about Snappy?
So that's an interesting question. I found out about Snappy about more than a year ago. And that was quite early for its beginning, and I was at the time involved in some research regarding robotics. So at the time I was working for the Italian government, and it was just before I joined Erle full time. And we just had the chance to interact with a few of the guys behind Snappy, and we really found the concept really exciting. So at this time, as roboticists, we just thought that this had a lot of future. So if we have a look actually at how is the world of robotics being shaped, and putting aside the complexity on the hardware-software interface, which takes a big part of our time, Just looking at the software side, the first thing that the people needed was a framework that helped developers create robot applications. And this was actually solved a few years ago by something called ROS, the robot operating system. So this fantastic framework actually has allowed thousands of developers, roboticists, researchers out there put together algorithms, share code, and pretty much it became the most used instance of. So to put it in a proper way, it became the most popular framework for robotics in a really short term. And furthermore, it became the most popular regarding reuse of code in robotics. So the point was that we already knew about ROS. We've been working with ROS for a while. So we had the tools to develop these amazing applications and smart concepts, but we still were missing this sort of like platform, cloud-based, that helped people actually reach these concepts that I might not necessarily know how to make a computer vision algorithm, but maybe someone in Japan knows how to do it. So we just wanted to adopt this platform that helped our robots become smarter by basically installing new applications. So as we see, there's, and this might be biased, and many people might disagree about this, but this is as we say it here at Erle. There's basically two ways of putting real, or let's say intelligence in a robot. There's the traditional way of doing AI, or even the bio-inspired way, working with neural networks and evolutionary algorithms. So that's a path that has been explored in AI for quite a while. And we see that there's this new way of actually creating intelligence in a robot. And that is by installing these isolated small applications that you guys just call them snaps, that provide each robot simple, let's say, simple knowledge. So in a way, we see that we can install a simple snap that gives my robot knowledge of how to live stream to YouTube, and that's what you can see right now in the in our channel. And following up with this concept, I can just create a snap that gives my robot the knowledge of how to monitor Twitter and just filter a specific hashtag and instructions for its motion. And that's exactly what we taught it by just installing a single snap. And we could go over and over and over, and just by installing or removing snaps, we can actually reach out really smart behaviors. So what we're trying to do right now with Canonical and with several other members of the community, both on the robotics side and also on the Ubuntu one, is trying to understand what's going to be the demand and the needs of this this path to build intelligence for robots by using snaps, which we've already validated, we've already proved it's really powerful, and we're really confident that it's going to challenge many of the, let's say, theoretical and, if you wish, academical perspectives that have been followed for the last, I'd say, 10, well, not 10, probably 20 years. So until now, I guess few actually have taken the courage to say, hey, why don't we just create intelligence on robots by just adding small pieces of knowledge that are independent to these robots. So this is something that right now it's possible with the Snappy. It is something that Snappy Ubuntu Core is enabling, and it is something that we are exploring and we are delivering to the rest of the world.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead a question because it kind of ties into that. Just Caracas asks, will we be able to control the spider with Mycroft? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Mycroft campaign. Okay, so for everyone who isn't, Mycroft is a home automation artificial intelligence that also uses Snappy and is also actually based on the Raspberry Pi. And they've taken a very similar approach where they are building little installable pieces of knowledge for Mycroft that can do different things. So like your Spotify controls package would be a separate app that you just install onto this to extend functionality. So you said you are familiar with those. Have you considered providing a Mycroft package to control the Spider or one of your other drones?
Totally. Totally. I mean, we are actually supporters of the Minecraft campaign, and we love the concept. We're really happy to see that there's more people making hardware out of Snappy. I mean, we think that this is a great chance for so many that we are actually surprised that not many more are jumping over. So totally, that's something we will do, will happen. We just need to get funded the campaign, but as soon as this just jumps over to the public, people will just be able to interact with Erle-Spider and Minecraft.
That would be cool. Then you can just talk to the spider and tell it to do things.
Totally.
All right, so we've got another question from Las Arañas. How smart is the brain? Guessing this is a bit of a broad question, but perhaps Victor can help us on that.
Sure. So, I'm just going to answer this by starting by what we consider smart. So, if we take a look at AI, we realize that so traditionally the concept of smart has been changing. The concept of intelligence, if you wish. So if we were to look at intelligence 20 years ago, we'll see that people was focusing and putting a lot of time into trying to make chess game players, like artificial chess game players. And at the time, that was quite a complicated problem. But by the time we challenged it and we actually conquered it, it didn't get any more named as something intelligent. So we've been seeing this with artificial intelligence over the last 20 years. We've been seeing that as problems get solved and as things get understood, they don't become or named as intelligent anymore. So what we are trying to deliver here with Erle Brain is an enabler of intelligence. So we've pretty much put together a Raspberry Pi 2, which contains a quad-core processor using Cortex A7 ARM processors, which can be boosted up to 900 megahertz with regard to processor. That includes support for micro SDs and with a set of sensors that help you build probe enough set of robots. So what we've placed here particularly has been 3-axis accelerometers, 3-axis magnetometers, gyroscopes, pressure sensors, temperature sensors, and it can be expanded if you need something customized. You can just reach us out and we'll probably work as something out for you. But with regard how intelligent and how much intelligent we can make the brain, I say that many of the things that we right now consider intelligent might not be considered intelligent by the time of, I don't know, 6 months. So we'll keep creating snaps. We'll keep enhancing this concept of isolated, let's say, pills of intelligence, if you wish. And I'm sure that using this approach, we'll be able to keep up with what people might consider in the near term intelligent.
And will people be able to add their own bits of their own knowledge pills to the brain?
Totally, totally. Right now, so our snaps, some of them are public in the Snappy ARM store. We plan to just release many of them as soon as we start delivering spiders. So our team here is really excited to actually start developing these little pills of knowledge. We've been interacting with Snappy for the last month, some of us for more than a year. And we believe we've got a great ground base to start building great snaps. And I'm speaking of really simple things, from going from live streaming the video, which we can make it available, or it might actually be available already, that live stream. I'm not sure. You guys can check it with your Snappy devices. Or complicated stuff, such as what my colleague Alex right here is working right now on, which is avoiding obstacles and creating simultaneous localization and mapping.
I think you guys were one of the very first Snappy adopters with your Erlecopter.
That's possible. Yeah, we were really excited about the chances of having these drones backed by this marketplace, this cloud-based marketplace. temporarily pushed here. We've kept pushing. We just wanted to introduce to the world new platforms. So right now drones are really popular. We actually took on this route because as roboticists, we obviously wanted to deliver to the people what was most used at the time. But as time goes over, we are starting to see how users of drones, of robots, start getting confused about which tools they should use in certain scenarios. So we are starting to see that, for example, there is a client that just wants to inspect an underground area, and he just wants to put a flying vehicle just down there. There's no visibility, there's constant obstacles, so maneuvers are really complicated, but still, he wants to put something that flies because he believes that the only thing that is autonomous is a flying vehicle nowadays. But that's not the truth. That's not true. Robotics has been advancing in several platforms and fields for quite a while. And just by adding the tag drone to this campaign and to this robot, we were hoping to actually enlighten people and sort of like approach them and say, hey guys, there's also drones that do not necessarily fly, because we've been having drones among us for centuries. I mean, there's drones among hive bees, there's drones among ants. The drone concept, by definition, doesn't come from the fact that it flies.
Did we lose Victor?
I think so. I was going to mention that. All right, we can wait for a minute to see if they come back. In the meantime, perhaps we can take some of the questions which might not be earlier related. I think I saw some question coming up right now that might be
Mario
for us.
had a question that we could answer.
All right, do you want to take it, Mike?
So he asked if there's any information about moving the Android HAL over to Lollipop for Ubuntu Touch. And he says, and 1+1, yay. I'm not sure if that means that he needs that for the 1+1 or if he just wants us to talk about the really awesome work that he's doing with the 1+1 porting effort, because I do know that he's got cellular data working now. He and Chloe Wolfeker are able to exchange text messages over their 1+1s now, which is pretty cool and a big step forward in making that more usable. As far as updating to Lollipop, I know there's plans for it. I don't know what the state of those are or what the time frame is for it, though. All right, and then I think all the other questions were for Victor, so if he comes back on, we'll be able to ask him those.
Yeah, I think in the meantime, what we can do as well is, since we skipped our regular announcements bit at the beginning, we can take a stab at them right now. One thing that we'd like to mention is that we've got the Ubuntu Online Summit coming up in November. I think, is it the 2nd to the 4th? I need to check my calendar, to be honest.
The 3rd to the 5th, I think. 3rd
to the 5th, so it's starting on the Tuesday. So the Ubuntu Online Summit from the 3rd to the 5th of November. As a reminder, the summit is a remote virtual event, online event, where we run presentations, discussion on features, roadmaps, and showcasing of products, features, crazy stuff that's work in progress. Essentially, is a way to for our community to get together, to learn about Ubuntu, to work together on a particular project related to Ubuntu, and to have discussions about Ubuntu, both on the technical side and also more on the advocate side of things, or organizational part of things as well. If you want to participate, it's very easy. You can either just watch the sessions while they're running live. You can ask your questions or contribute on IRC, or you can watch them afterwards on the recorded streams. What you can do as well, and that's actually something that really makes a difference, is to propose sessions.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
Welcome back, Victor.
Sorry.
We were just going through some announcements, and then we can take it back to questions. We still got quite a lot of questions on the Spider. It seems that people are getting pretty excited about it. So just to wrap up on the online summit, if you want to submit a session, just go to uds.ubuntu.com, get a blueprint done as described there, and then they will be added to the schedule. So make sure that if you're proposing something, you are also willing to making it happen. That's essentially our philosophy when we're working on projects with Ubuntu, and essentially we'll be talking more and more about the summit as the schedule gets filled up. All right, I think we can just take it directly to questions. Again, we've got about 15 minutes, and I think we might have just time to go through them. So I'm just going to pick the next one, or at least what I think is the next one. Las Arañas is asking, how fast is the Spider?
And I think we all kind of saw how fast it was in the demos.
Sorry guys, I just fell down. So we had here actually a power off. Everything shut down, so it was actually funny. But the Spider kept alive, so that's good, I guess. So, apologies for that. So taking on the question, what we've done is actually restrict the dynamical model to go at a, let's say, reasonable rate. So we can make it go much faster. That's just a matter of modifying the parameters of the dynamical model. So as it is configured right now, you should define a few, let's say, few values that control the speed of yeah, this is going to be complicated, but so how fast you actually raise up the arm, how fast you move it around, and how fast you place it down and push. So that's actually that's 3 parameters that configure how fast the Spider can go. So just by tuning these things, you can actually make it go as fast as you can. So while we developed it, we also simulated it, and we chose those that made it as real and made us feel as comfortable as possible. But anyhow, we really haven't played that much with the speed, so that's something we leave customers and users to play with. But I'm sure someone will just come up with something that leaves us impressed. Just for the record, I believe that each one of the servos can actually turn about 60 degrees in 0.14 seconds, which means you can go pretty fast.
Yeah, that would be pretty fast.
Not bad at all.
All right, Las Arenas has another question. Can the Erle-Copter lift the Erle-Spider? I can just see, like, you know, hundreds of these flying through the air, dropping off attack spiders.
So unfortunately, the answer is no. So Erle-Spider is about 2 kilograms, and the Erle-Copter payload is about 1 kilogram, 1 kilogram 500. So theoretically, we could probably test it, and it might fly. But we generally try to load our vehicles, our flying vehicles, to at least maximum half of the recommended payload, so that they can have a safe flight. So unfortunately, not for a safe flight. However, we do provide a copter that is based on Ubuntu that actually can easily lift the Spider, which is Erle-Exa copter. So it's basically having 6 motors instead of 2, and that gives us a bit more of room of payload. And there's been some, let's say, tests in here and some funny videos that we haven't shared, but maybe in the few following days we might just share some stuff about that.
So now I'm really looking forward to these videos myself.
All right. Mario Grip has a question about the Erle-Copter. He's asking how fast can the copter go, and how long a flight does it have on a battery charge? Because he wants one.
So that's great. So with regard battery lifetime, it highly depends on the payload you put on top. So if you charge your copter with more weight, then obviously the motors will need to produce more thrust, and they'll just require more current, which will just consume your battery faster. So generally, as we deliver it, you can get between 15 and 20 minutes with Erle-Copter. And that's assuming that you charge batteries properly and so on, and treat them nicely, because lithium polymer batteries, well, they're quite nice, quite great for what the price, but they need to be taken care. But besides that, if you were to charge your vehicle with, let's say, let's just start by 500 to a kilogram, then you can easily get down to something below 10 minutes, I'd say. And that's the general thing that we've been experiencing, sorry, with our copters. So honestly, sorry, adding.
I was going to ask where somebody could go to buy one of these copters if they want one.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so I think Mike, your question was whether they're already available and where, right?
Hang on, you're breaking up a little bit for me. Yeah, I was asking where Mario could go to buy one of the copters.
So to get the copters, you can actually go to. Can you guys see me? I guess so, right?
Yep.
So you can go to HTTP, to Erle-Robotics.com, actually, to our site, and just over there you will see it directly. You'll see our different brains and robots, and just in the first page you should be able to see the Erle-Copter, which we offer in 2 different modes. This is something we are working on right now, specifically. So although Erle is a mature product, we've learned quite a lot from these last months delivering it, and we realized that there's a lot of users that actually love Ubuntu, and a lot of users that love drones, flying drones. So we wanted to match it together by delivering something that we consider is not quite delivered in the market right now, which is a do-it-yourself kit. So there might be many people out there that don't necessarily just make drones, such as we do. So they might not know the basics or the concepts that are needed to know. So we wanted to create a kit that walk you step by step through all the things that you need to know, and that help you build your drone, assemble it, configure it, and fly it. So we just want to deliver this whole experience as a box, and that's coming over probably within 1-2 months. But as for now, even though it's not quite yet boxed or boxified, or however you can say it, you can still buy the Erle-Copter fully assembled, or you can get a do-it-yourself kit with some instructions we already provide in the site. But as I'm pointing out, we are really, really excited to be able to deliver this same concept that we've prototyped to the masses. Because so far our experience has been quite great. We've approached a few educational institutions, pretty much universities, which were aware of Ubuntu and quite liked robots, and it's been quite amazing what came out of this.
Awesome.
Okay, I have a question. Let's assume I'm a backer for the Erle-Spider, and as soon as I get it, I'd like to start developing apps, well, snaps for it. What should I look into right now? Like, should I start learning ROS? Should I start learning Snappy?
So what you definitely need to do is that you should start learning Snappy. That is the straightforward answer. And you need to do that because our team is actually working here really hard to try to abstract people from these intrinsic details of codes. So there's a lot of complexity within the global operating system codes. We are quite aware of this. We're just trying to overcome this complexity by creating an upper layer that might just deliver simple interfaces that people can just use in their snaps. So by the time Erle-Spider gets delivered to you, you'll have these interfaces already available, and you'll be able to make snaps faster than ever.
Okay. For which languages?
Sorry.
For which language?
Oh, so right now we're thinking more of some kind of REST APIs. But we haven't restricted ourselves to anything in particular, so you might see actually Python bindings or just C bindings. We'll see. We'll see what the community actually provides as feedback. But we just think that something as easy as a REST API might make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right, I think that was all of the questions that we had for Victor. Really cool demos there, Victor. I like those. And it looks like the Spider live stream is back online, so people can keep going and tweeting instructions to that and walking it around your office now.
That's great. It'll stay here for quite a while, so just everyone feel free to play with it, to see what we've created, and if it sounds like something you'd like to have this Christmas, you can back us.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, so we've got a few minutes for the last questions. We might as well just take them. Just Caracas is asking, are there any new updates about the Convergent BQ device? We don't have any updates right now to share today on this Q&A. Just the fact that we're continuing to work with manufacturers on convergence devices, and most importantly, at Canonical and at Ubuntu, we as the software makers are really committed to providing the final convergent experience. So you've probably seen the videos going out recently. We've got, I think, about one per week about the progress that we're making on different areas of convergence. I think recently the last one we sent was we published was a demo about the Ubuntu Music app, which runs on the phone and on the desktop, where there it adapts very nicely to the to not only the form factor, but it uses the adaptive layout from the SDK in an intelligent way, so that it's not just about changing the shape of the app when it's running on a different form factor. And also to mention always that that the music app is created by 2 community members and many other contributors as well. We've got Victor Thompson and Andrew Hazen, who are the main drivers of the Ubuntu Music app. Other than that, you'll keep seeing updates about convergence. So just to reassure you that the convergence story is going strong and moving forward at a very quick pace.
And if you have a Nexus 4 or a Nexus 7, you can start to play with that already. I've got a Nexus 4 that I'm now able to plug into an external HDMI TV or monitor, and it'll show the big screen and desktop mode there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys might have probably seen the video that Mike posted a couple of weeks ago. That's actually pretty amazing to see it in action.
And I'm just gonna throw out if anybody's in Florida in November, I think 19th, that weekend, there's a conference going on in Orlando called FaucetCon, where we'll have an Ubuntu booth, and I'm going to try and have the phone plugged into a big screen TV there so people can actually try it out themselves. So that's FaucetCon in Orlando.
All right, that gives me a very nice cue to talk about UbuCon in Berlin as well. That's going to be another community organized conference. You'll find all the details at ubuntucon.de, but essentially it's an event that's happening in a bit less than 2 weeks, from the 23rd to the 25th of October. That's Friday to Sunday, and there's going to be quite a lot of interesting talks and presentations about around Ubuntu. I'm going to talk about the phone myself, and I think if I manage, I might be showing the convergent experience as well. We'll have a snappy workshop as well, and lots of other content. All right. Let's see if we can pick up the last two questions real quick. Taras is asking, is Ubuntu Touch going to be officially supported on Nexus 5? Most Android developers own Nexus 5, so it would be easy for an app developer company to start developing for Ubuntu Touch instead of equipping the whole office with the device. It could also be used in dual boot with Android for development. We've had conversations about this. Right now, we don't have any definite plans on moving onto the Nexus 5. I think the Nexus 4 is serving us still very well as a reference device, and there's a cost in terms of engineering and then moving to another device. We're mostly well, the Nexus are still our the reference devices for the public images. We're very much committed to supporting the retail devices as well with our hardware partners such as BQ and Meizu.
But if you do have a Nexus 5, there is a community port of Ubuntu to that works pretty well. I know some people in our community, like Nathan Haynes, use that as their daily phone.
I think even
so
it's
not officially supported. Yeah, it's not officially supported, but there's a good port there for you.
All right. There's another question from Mario Grip. Is there Mirka's support with Unity 8? Might not be able to answer that one. Perhaps you might.
I don't think there is yet. I think that would actually probably be in Mir, not Unity 8 itself. But no, I don't believe that's in there yet.
All right. Okay, and then finally a message from user Richwing, who's been posting about the Q&As. Mentioning, can I just say, I can't keep doing the posts because I'm in surgery this week. Can someone else do them? That's just awesome. I mean, the fact that you've been doing this, just thanks a lot for this. So if anyone can pick them up to help them, that'd be great. If not, let's say have a good recovery, and we'll keep looking forward to your next post.
Yeah, hope you have a good surgery and everything goes well and a speedy recovery there. And thank you for doing those posts in the past.
Yeah, there you go.
And one last thing from Mario Grip, which would be a good way to end this. He's asking if Victor can show the Erle-Copter on camera.
Yeah, sure. Do we have one? Yeah, so I've got one here disassembled. So pretty much the brain needs to be added, but that's pretty much the size, right? And then we'll pretty much add the brain. So this is sort of like a work in progress that one of our guys is actually putting together. But that's pretty much the size. It's actually using so sort of like a standard frame, and that's pretty much it. Alex, did you actually find one, which is, yeah, that one? I think it's gonna work. So all right, this is the one that actually has been flying. That's the way it pretty much looks with everything. It has a few things that we've tuned to try new speed controllers and new things. But that's pretty much how Erle does look.
All right. Well, Thank you, Victor, for being on. We really appreciate having you, and thank you, everybody, for all of your great questions on IRC. We'll be back next week, same day, same time, possibly different cast, but we do this every week here on UbuntuOnAir.com. You can watch this video and previously recorded videos on YouTube/UbuntuOnAir. Anything that we've recorded on this site will be available to watch there.
All right, and as a final reminder, remember to support the Erle Robotics team with their IndieGoGo campaign. We've posted the link on IRC if you guys are following us, and we'll be posting it on our social networks as a reminder just after the hangout.
Thanks a lot, guys, for having us. It's for us a huge pleasure, and thanks for all your support and all the good questions. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone, and until next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.